Hello everyone, today I'm here on this very sweltering Canadian day to deliver a review of the 70 Canadian dollar Antec NX200. So the Antec NX200 was available about a week ago and still is available for $69.99 Canadian piastres. And so that is a fairly good price, especially for a tempered glass case such as this. So going through a few of the features, of course, there is the price. The price is probably the best feature of it at the moment. It's not available on Amazon. You'll have to go onto Newegg to get it at this point, and possibly, depending on how long that listing stays up for 70 Canadian piastres, I would say it might not be available for much longer. So I suggest that you go ahead and check right now. If you want a case like this by the end of the video, then you can go ahead and check it out right after the video, and that would be the best course of action right there. However, as with many other $70 cases, there are some issues, and I need to highlight those right now, just in case you think that those are deal breakers. For one, when I first ordered this, it was on Amazon. It was still available for $69.99, or so they said, and the seller canceled the order without my permission, which is of course not the fault of the case, but yeah, maybe don't order this on Amazon, even if you do see it for $69 to $70, because the seller who is selling it for that might not end up honoring the price. So that kind of sucks. But you know, I went ahead and I ordered it from Amazon, or from Newegg, sorry, and well, I have some complaints about the quality control, because the quality control on this does not exactly seem very good. Alright, so I should best demonstrate this by showing you this part right here, because this part right here is very important. It is actually the reason why I would say you might want to think twice about building in this case, because, you know, the form factor is really good, which I'll get into. The price is really good, which I'll also get into, and it has a tempered glass side panel. It's really nice. It's got like a nice color theme. You know, if you get a black motherboard, something like not like this, I think it would work even better, stuff like that. But I need to get a screwdriver. What you will see, you might consider unacceptable, because as you can see, someone has had to use brute force to get this part undone. And that someone was me. And that is very bad. Not only did I need to use brute force to get this undone, but, and if I just show it a little bit more to the camera here, yeah, see, some of the paint is chipped off. Now, of course, that is not visible, but it is evidence that someone has had to do something very crude to get it open. And in addition to that, I also applied some WD-40 in order to get it off, because this screw from the factory, this screw right here, was so tight you could not get it undone with anything. I do not have a torque screwdriver. I just have like a regular screwdriver like this. Oh my gosh. I spent like 15 minutes getting that screw undone, and there was also another screw, I do not remember which one, that was also very similar. So if you are big on quality control, if you want to sell something, you want to make sure that there's no like visible damage on the case, then yeah, do not get this case, because I mean, maybe you'll be willing to risk it, but at the same time, it's very I don't know, it is actually very risky. You know, you could end up hurting something, like let's say you get WD on the components. Well, that could possibly damage it, as so the internet says, which yeah, not good. You do not want to damage your internal components after they've been put into the case. And as with the other Antec case that I have, I'm not sure how common this is among every case, but the PCI covers were very difficult to get off, and I had to I had to sort of screw with them. But this is my computer, so I don't necessarily care. If I was building a computer, I would probably prefer if I was building a computer for someone else, sorry, I would probably prefer if it wasn't like this, but at this point, I mean, it's my computer. I'm going to be keeping this for a while. I do not think that it really matters. So let me go ahead and get into a few of the features of this case, because aside from the price, there are a few other features. For example, this case is a very minimal form factor micro ATX case, which is of course very nice, because a lot of cases they have, they're for an ATX motherboard, which is great. However, if you don't need ATX, then it is great to have the micro ATX board go all the way down to the bottom of where the PSU is, all the way to the top up here, which I can't really show you to you very well. Yeah, I can't. And and it also extends most of the way to the front of the case. I'm not sure why there's some space up front, probably just for ease of building, but yeah, that is really nice. I think that a lot of builders definitely underestimate how much of a selling point having a smaller computer is. They just go for whatever ATX case, possibly because it's cheaper. But if I was like say someone looking to buy a computer for their son or for another kind of relative or a friend or something like that, I would rather have a computer with this kind of form factor because it's tiny. It really is. At least compared to most other cases that I've ever worked with, yeah, it is very tiny. And one complaint about the form factor that I do have is that for some reason this PSU just does not fit in here very well. I don't know why. If you look, yeah, I gotta show you this. There's a little gap here on the PSU. As far as I know, this is just a regular ATX PSU, so I'm not sure why that's the case, but I don't care as much about that. That's not too much of a problem. The case does come with a fan, which is really nice. I do like when a case comes with a fan because that means that you do not have to spend extra on a fan for a computer that you probably aren't spending enough on to even didn't even need a fan that's like large, or a cooling system that's really nice. So that's nice. And indeed, if you are spending $70 on a case, I would be willing to wager that you are not putting in an i9 14900K or any kind of i9, any kind of even i7 that would need lots of cooling like that. So I would wager that that's fine. That's completely fine. And then of course we have the tempered glass side panel here. Very nice. Very chic. Of course, this has no RGB, and honestly, in my opinion, that can be either a feature or, I guess, a detriment, depending on who you're building this for. If you're building it for yourself, you're just an enthusiast and you don't care about RGB, then of course, you don't need to have RGB. I shouldn't have to explain that, so don't feel pressured to put RGB in a case or to get a case with RGB, because at the end of the day, that is extra dollars that you could be spending elsewhere, possibly on a nice little coffee for yourself, you never know. But of course, if you're building for the market, I would recommend, kind of need RGB in order to move a computer these days. I don't know why, but you do. So, of course, you would want to go with a different case. However, enthusiast case, I think this is fine. You just need a computer, just plop in the components, and then you don't need RGB. And the front panel is nice. Of course, I'll show you exactly what we have. Of course, it's all very difficult to actually deal with the front panel, even more so when you actually... Excuse me, what screw came off? Is it seriously another one of the PSU screws? They're always coming off. Anyways, yeah, so on the front panel we have USB 3, we just have one of those. We have USB 2, and we have two of USB 2. And we have the headphone jack, the microphone jack. Very nice. I personally use a USB sound card anyways, because front panel is really goofy sometimes. And at the end of the day, I don't actually care if these are connected as much. Probably the USB I do, but yeah, that's always nice. If you really want to sell a computer, it's good to have nice front panel ports. If someone's looking at that, they might want to have nice front panel ports. Of course, it's a little bit strange that it's only USB 3 and then 2 USB 2. But that is, of course, what you get for the price. So I think that's fine for $70. Probably couldn't ask for much more. And of course, most budget motherboards do come with both kinds of headers in case you need to connect a certain amount of them, so that'll be no problem. And oh boy, what did I have? Yeah, it's the PSU screw. I have no clue what is wrong with these PSU screws. Why do they keep coming out? Like, I screw them in as far as they will go. They work fine in my other Antec case. The moment I move them here, it's not even the fault of the case. So don't think I'm blaming the case for this. I'm not. Okay, but you can see, like, if I try and screw these in, they're not going to go any farther. Okay, I wanted this video to be very low-key, but I don't think it's going to be low-key at this point because there's too much around to anger me. Yeah, no, that's not going in. I have to get this somewhere else. I actually have to undo these panels. I forget which one it is. Hope it's this one. I'll go ahead and show you here too, because this is really funny. Yeah, see, it won't go anymore. Not one bit more. One more gripe that I have with this case is this side. You cannot actually access the PSU from the tempered glass side, so you can't move the PSU up. That would probably make it a little bit easier to build, to screw in the PSU, but unfortunately you can't do that for some reason. That's a little bit of a design oversight, but I don't know, 70 PS, so I don't kick it too much. And time to get that side panel back on. If anyone has any clue what is going on with the PSU screws here where they won't even screw in properly, let me know please, because I have actually no clue, considering they've already worked before. I did consider that it needs some WD-40, but I actually don't know, and I don't really want to use WD-40 on a power supply. That does not sound very safe at all. Trying to get you a good shot here, just for you to see what building with this case is like here. Alright, so that's enough for this video, I think. I think this case is alright for the price. I would say that the problems should probably be fixed because there are a few of them. However, it's $70, honestly, and I will actually say it does feel very sturdy. See, it's very much made of metal all over the place, which is very nice. I prefer a case like that. I think that's great. But yeah, hang on, let me just move this away. Hopefully the screws don't come undone again, because if they do, I'm going to flip my lid. And yeah, that's about all for this video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, just go ahead and subscribe. And I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.